Welcome back to HR After Dark, where we basically pull back the curtains on HR and talk about things after 5 p.m. So again, I'm Marcia.
And I'm Meghan. And today we're diving into an awesome topic about leadership training and leadership coaching and why it's important in the workplace. So
How much time do we have?
we could talk about this for hours. Let's get it into a short session and we can build upon it.
Okay.
We're going to talk about why it's in such a high demand right now.
Well, wait a minute. You have something in your coffee cup. What's in your coffee cup?
I sadly have coffee.
Well,
I got coffee. I got a little bun in the oven. So,
yeah, you do.
what kind of Starbucks are you drinking today?
I had a mocha. It was one of those days.
Nice.
Yeah.
With some oat milk?
Oh God, no. You know me. I just do my home milk. So
God, no.
yeah, no. I'm still.
I know.
Home
I
milk.
have coffee. I would like to have an espresso martini in here.
Me too, but not till summer. I'm trying to be really good with that.
Okay. What is the date that you're?
April 21st.
Is that summer for you?
No, that's
Spring?
after Easter.
Yeah.
So I will do that, and that'll be really good. But it is hard. But I can have espressos.
Yeah.
There's no alcohol in them.
You espresso, and you can have like maybe a little piece of dark chocolate.
Can you imagine if we talked about leadership and I had espresso martini right now?
Yeah, I think I'd be scared actually. What will come out?
Man,
Yeah.
I would be like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, we have
Bring it on.
Brendan Dodge making all of our.
Yeah. Well, he's coming to Martini Party. He's
know.
my main bartender, so I'm real excited about that.
I'm very excited. I'll be strapped with a baby to me,
Yep.
with maybe a couple other ones,
Little kids.
on the side,
He's like, here comes Megan.
or I might get a babysitter,
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll
and then we'll just.
Yeah. We'll have fun. I'm sure I'll see you, though. We have a lot
Yes,
of
you
fun.
will.
But leadership, I think, is becoming more of a hot topic. It's definitely, people are looking for leadership. I also think people are looking for more, not just leadership, but also just coaching.
Yeah. I think the workplace is more dynamic than ever.
It is.
There are so many rising topics. DEI, B.
Oh, no, you said that word. What? What? It's really a hot topic right now. And it's unfortunate because it's still needed in the workplace. And it's just been, it's been chopped up right now.
It is chopped up. You're right. It is chopped up right now. And I think it's still extremely critical. And we're going to talk about that. But the 5 generations in the workforce.
Yeah.
And I also think this is one of the most litigious workforces that we've ever seen.
Agreed.
So thinking about leadership coaching and why it's important is because of all of these reasons. The ever-changing dynamics in the workplace, hybrid schedules, people getting promoted with no training whatsoever. There's just like this, it's just a different place. And so why else do you think it's in such high demand? Because I know it's growing so much.
I think the remote workforce, the hybrid, not seeing people in person, I think sometimes is also holding people back from full potential because you don't see them in action and not getting part of what's going on. And I think people are getting angry at that. How come that person got promoted over what I did?
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm like, there's a lot of coaching that's needed involved with that. Of like, what does that look like? How do I get to that next step? What do I need to do? If they're willing to listen.
Yeah.
See, there's coaching. There's also ability to be coached.
Yeah.
You can spend a ton of money on people in coaching.
Yeah.
And if they aren't really able to be coached, all that money goes down the drain because they're not listening to you.
Totally agree.
So you have to be really sure that that person is being willing to change, because coaching is basically, it's opening up that door to yourself and saying, am I willing to change?
Yeah, and I think also there's a big difference between training managers and coaching.
Oh, same day.
Because you can train people to be a manager, how to have critical conversations, how to do things in the workplace.
Right.
But your coaching is a lot of your behavior. So what you're willing to invest in yourself. I actually love when people come to me and ask me for coaching rather than me having to be the one to say, hey, let's get you a coach.
Yeah, but how many times does that really happen?
Not a lot, but when
Right,
it does,
exactly.
But we're lucky we have a pretty high performing team here.
Yep.
So often that does happen here. Yeah. But I do think that it is very critical to have that person want that next and ask for it, because that means that they're really willing to invest in themselves.
Great, but there's a fear involved, and there's also a cost involved.
Yeah.
And so who picks up that cost? A lot of times it is the employer. Sometimes it's not the employer, because they don't have the money to do all that. So does that person go on the outside and talk to other people about that coaching? Because there are like work business coaches, there are career coaches, there are life coaches. And you have to be careful when you sit down with a coach. What kind of coach do I need to basically make myself more successful? What am I really looking for?
For sure.
And so you want to make sure you ask yourself that question first,
Yeah.
and then start asking a person like, do you have a life coach? Do you have a career coach? Do you have a business coach? Because there are different coaches out there.
Yeah, and not every coach is right for that person, right? Like the personalities have to mesh. And I think it's really important to pair up with somebody who has that skill set that you don't have.
Yep.
And you can there's a lot of people are executive coaches, right? So how do you identify the best ones in person? I think you just take your time when it comes to selecting with somebody.
You do.
Is
I would
really
get a lot of
important.
references.
Yep.
And also about their certifications. There's really some pretty deep certifications that they need out there. I have a lot of good friends who have pretty high-end certifications, and they're very good at what they do. But they work with certain kinds of people.
Yeah.
And some have been doing it for years, and they also work with certain kind of people. You have to talk a lot of people. You have to do a lot of investigation to figure out the right one.
Yeah. I think another reason that it's in such high demand is that organizations, private companies specifically, are succession planning.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about what's next for me as a business owner and a founder, and what's next for my next generation. A lot of millennials are now in these leadership roles and thinking about, who is right, whether it's building on soft skills or their technical skills in the workplace. But I think that generational shift is happening.
Yes.
With a lot of our clients.
Next week, we have a round table in town, and one of the topics is one of an organizational psychologist is coming out, and we asked them, hey, what's the top topic that you're hearing about right now? He goes, well, it's really actually one of them is basically, do I hire more people or do I train my internal people for the next leadership role? And so we're going to be talking about that. And I did some research on it ahead of time, and it was really interesting of how so many more companies, they're just exhausted from recruiting. And what they're trying to do is basically spend the time and effort on their individual people to move up. And if you ask a lot of the youngsters, like the Z's and all, they don't really want to move. They want to stay with a company for a while. But like I said, they like more instant gratification. So like every year you should have like, what's that plan look like, moving it forward. Yeah. And I've also told companies, like, if you only have so many levels, what's to stop you from basically having like that one level typically is 3 to 5 years? Break that level down, and you have like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, because then every year they feel like they're getting that next level. I said they're just looking for that increase. It doesn't have to be just because that's the way it is here and that's the book. Change the book.
Change the book. And that's why benchmarking is so important.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about comp today, but just like thinking about when you break down the levels and add additional things into the mix, they know what's to come, and they know how to get there if you tell them.
Oh yeah.
So, if you have no transparency or clarity on like what these levels are, they're just lost and they're just working to work. And so I think that's really important, having like a benchmark, leveling project done.
People are they're more open. Social has made everything more exposed. It used to be quiet to talk about your salary and your bonus. Not anymore. They share all of that with each other. So if you think it's all secret and all, I would say it's not secret. It's all out there, which is why internal equity is really important. Wage transparency is becoming larger and all too, but it comes down to like, are your people happy? Are they staying? What's happening? What's missing? That's why coaching is so important. Is there a coaching program put into play? So after maybe 3 years, you're going to be given a coach, for basically 3 months to help you get to that next level. Are they going to go through programs like Leadership Philadelphia? Things like that to help them get to that next level. Those are great tools to put in play, but a lot of companies don't do that because they don't want to spend the money on it.
I know. It is so important, though. I mean, thinking about if you're a younger leader and you're put into a manager position, but you've not had manager experience, you're not thinking about yourself a lot. You're thinking about holding other people accountable and like the tasks that are associated with that, but you're not thinking about how you're developing yourself. And so a couple of the other reasons why I think leadership coaching is so beneficial is because it helps with decision-making process.
Right.
It helps with holding people accountable,
Right.
which is one of the hardest things in the
Very
workplace to
much
do.
so.
And then also your communication and having clarity in the way that you're delivering. And I think that is one of the big things that could hold people back.
Yeah, but the accountability is still hard. But you have
I know.
hybrid, and that hybrid is if and I can see where CEOs, if I don't see them, it's hard for me to understand even what they're doing. I'm like, yeah, well, it depends. If their productivity and they're basically putting like for us, it's hours. They put their hours in and doing the work. It's getting done. But how well is it getting done? Well, unfortunately, you're waiting to hear back from the client. Are you okay? Are you not okay? Can we make things different? And all? Are they really showing up on time? Are they really going on those Zooms like that? A lot of trust involved in all
sure.
that.
For
And so
sure.
I think that's hard for a lot of employers to
Yeah,
understand.
right.
And that's why they want to get them back in the office so they can use the real estate. They can be more present. They can feel like more like a team, more collaborative. Because keep in mind, people basically go to work because they know they have a really good friend there.
Yeah.
There's
be
some
the
kind
people
of
they love.
connection. It's sticky.
sure. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you don't have that. It's a lot harder. So people are spending all this time and money and training and coaching. They want them to stay.
Yeah.
They want them to improve more. And we're just getting back into that world because in a couple of years since COVID, it's really pulled back from that.
I agree. I agree with that. And I also think when you think about getting people in the same place, you're getting the actions and the behaviors in person again,
Yeah.
which is so different than obviously being across a screen.
Yes.
One of the biggest things for me, I think, that leadership coaching does in the workplace is it creates this ripple effect.
Oh, yeah.
You spend time on a leader, and then they inherently want to spend time on their teammates. And then they're getting the same, action plans.
Right.
And they're, it's just it's a ripple effect in a really positive way.
Yep.
So you're basically acting as a change agent in your space.
You should, but not everybody does that. And so
know.
how do you advocate for yourself and saying, hey, I want to be a part of this program. I want to do that. You got to be working with a place that really respects all that and says, yes, let's get you moving here.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
When it comes to self-aware leaders, every leader, no matter what level they are, they have blind spots.
Yep.
So hiring somebody outside of the company
Yeah.
is a perfect way to address these without
yeah.
having to have, your boss be also your mentor at the same time.
Yep.
So the blind spots is a big thing that I see in the coaching space.
Yep.
Thinking about why it's so important to invest in.
Yep.
What is a good way for a company to start if they've never done anything, they've never budgeted for any leadership coaching in the past or training even? What is a good way for them to start as a CEO?
Start with one.
Yeah.
Start with one. What I think would be best, like if they get to a certain level, when you get to that level, you're automatically given a coach. So basically, you get 3 months. This person's going to help you understand how to communicate with your team, how to do performance evaluations, how to do this, how to do that. They have to be trained. People assume automatically like they're going to be a great manager.
Yeah.
Guess what? You cannot put a phenomenal salesperson into a sales manager role without really strong training. And remember, they don't want it anyways because they want the sales.
It's such a different personality.
Right.
I totally agree.
And these companies make these mistakes of like, this person would be a great manager. No, they're not. I said, you got to want sure that they want it too. Just because you think they're a good manager, it's a lot of time. And when you're a manager, it's not about you anymore. It's about your team.
Exactly.
And the more you move up, it's more about your team than it is about you. It's not about basically, oh, look at me. It's more of like, how's my team doing? Are they doing better? Is it basically fitting what we need for this company? Those are the things to be looking at.
Yeah.
And I think having the right coaches around you, but I think we should incorporate coaches more. The funny thing is, I think people are doing that because all my friends who are coaches are booked. They're
Sweet.
so
Good
busy.
for them. That's awesome.
And I think that's great, but
Yeah.
it's about time because I think people just need someone to talk to.
Yeah. I also think that I've never had so many phone calls on manager training.
Yeah.
So I know this is not the same as coaching, but they're thinking about, okay, these people are coming up the ranks. We have to do something if they're going to be the manager
Right.
standpoint. And so we have this great training program, but that's really different. It's different than the coaching aspect of the, the one-on-one or the one, peer group. And so thinking about, it makes me feel like companies are investing in these types of things, which is great.
Yeah, and it's lonely. Like you might have other managers and all too, but when you're a brand new manager and they've been managers for a while, one thing you don't want to look like you're dumb. I mean, it's like an entrepreneur. Same thing. They're going into a room with always well versed entrepreneurs, and that's the last thing you want to do. Like, I don't know that question. So if you have your own coach, sometimes sometimes it really helps you get to that next level. And you don't need the fancy enough, but you need someone who knows what they're doing, because there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, I'm a coach. Just make sure you get your references on those people.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I also think one of the hard things about coaching, or I should say the reverse, being the one who is being coached, a lot of times these leaders are coming up in the ranks and then they start to oversee their friends.
Yes.
And they start to oversee their peers who they were once counterparts with.
Right.
And I think that those executive coaches can help with those conversations on how to exude an executive presence, but also have them respect you in the workplace.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting too, because I think coaching isn't going to go away. I think it's going to get even bigger. But I think more and more companies should incorporate it basically after 2 or 3 years of saying, hey, we're going to give you a coach for 3 months and make sure that you're up to speed on what we do and how we do things here. But it's also someone to talk to, because it is lonely. And the higher you become, the lonelier it becomes.
Yeah. And there's never a time that you don't need a coach. Like you have an advisory team.
Yep.
They're coaches.
Yep.
And for doing this for 18 years as a founder, I mean, they're still just as valuable to you today as they were, years ago.
Yeah, so I brought them on board probably when we were about 10 years old, because I could afford them now. But it was interesting. But they do definitely they challenge me and ask me, well, why are you doing that? And why is that happening? And how come this is happening? So it is challenging sometimes. But I do think, I'm happy now to say, hey, I needed someone to have some coaching. And it's worked out really well for us. And sometimes you just have to ask, are they coachable? Some people say it, but they don't mean it. You have to make sure they mean it, because it's going to take time and money and resources. And if they're not really willing, then just wait a little bit longer, because you need them to be open to be challenged, to be coached.
How do you know if they are?
You can sort
Other
of
than
tell.
asking.
Actually, it's asking them, and you can sort of tell of how they answer you. If they're like eager, oh my God, that's great, I would love it, kind of a thing, sign me up, I'm so excited. And they're like, if they hesitate, and say, well, why? Do you think I need it?
Yeah.
They're going to be a little bit more hesitant, because they're going to say, well, why do you think I need it?
Yeah.
And that defensiveness has got to calm down before that true coaching takes place.
I agree. I think one thing that leadership coaching is not designed to do is to get rid of people.
Oh, yeah.
And often people hear, oh, you need a coach, it's like, you're not doing something right.
Yes.
But why would your company invest in you if
It's
they
expensive.
didn't want you here, right?
Right.
So I think, thinking if a lot of our audience here are CEOs that, that really care about their culture and care about their presence in the HR space, think about how you can, spend resources on the teammates who you want to continue doing great things for your company, rather than, getting out the door.
Yeah, and then you check in with them too, like every month. How's it going? What's the one thing you've learned? What's the one thing you don't like? Just really get a good idea, because a lot of people forget that. And the next thing you know, it's been 3 years since I've had coached. Oh, you got coached? Ugh. If you're going to spend money for it, invest, and basically make sure you ask the question.
What do you think's harder to coach? I'm throwing this at you. Technical skills or soft skills?
Oh, honestly, I think it's soft skills, because I think people think that they already have all that, and they don't realize sometimes they're actually missing a lot. And I can always tell when I bring somebody to lunch with me, or how they interact with a client, and on how do things. And I'm just here to help people become better. And some people have gotten very defensive, and I'm like, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm really here to help you. And some people are very open to that, and some people just aren't, and they close up like a hermit crab.
Right. So I think the basis, thinking about what employers can do, is if you don't have anything set aside or budgeted for this, start with one.
Yes.
Think about at least your own succession planning and like what you see for the organization. And you want to take somebody, you don't know what to do with them, but you want them to be the best they can be. Spend some time and resources on them.
And put a budget together now.
Yep.
Put the money aside. It's totally worth it for you.
Yep.
And it's less expensive in the long run than hiring more people.
Yeah, totally agree. This is a great conversation. I love this topic. I feel like leadership coaching is so valuable. And I'm so glad that, companies are investing in it now. So, but thank you all for joining us for HR After Dark, and we will see you next time.
Take care.